Hello, and good morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time it is wherever you are in the world. You are currently tuning in to The Dragon's Whisper, a radio show hosted by yours truly, Suiren, the water-controlling Chinese dragon goddess. Whew, that's the intro out of the way. This is the first episode of The Dragon's Whisper. Honestly, I'm not really sure how I got here, since I never thought I would write my own version of a radio show when I first started VTubing. But here I am, and here you are, listening to me ramble. Actually, you know what? This is probably an interesting topic to talk about for the first episode. VTubing! Yay! Although I'm sure a lot of you who are joining me here in this radio already know what VTubing is, since, you probably found me through my VTubing stuff. But I do get asked a lot when I tell people that I'm a VTuber. The first question for people who aren't familiar with VTubing or the community, what they generally ask is, what is VTubing? To which I normally just reply, I stream online as an anime character. Ignore immersion for a second. This reply normally gets me one of two reactions. The first one would be, of understanding, or of I sort of understand, but I don't really. I just normally change the subject at this point, because it's kind of hard to explain. That, or I show them a YouTube link and be done with it, because after all, a picture, or in this case, a video says 1,000 words, right? Yeah. The other type of question I normally get when I say I'm a VTuber is, how do you become a VTuber? For people who sort of know what VTubing is, and sort of is interested but don't really know how people get started. I actually had a little bit of an argument with my friend about this some while back. So there's actually a lot of tutorial videos out there on how to become a VTuber that goes from the type of programs you use, 3D capture, 2D, live 2D, motion capture, so on and so forth, and how you get access to all these materials. The actual debate that I had with my friend actually wasn't so much as how you become a VTuber as what exactly is a VTuber? How do you classify someone as a VTuber, and how do you classify someone as not a VTuber? And I'm sure everyone has their own ways of classifying what is a VTuber, what is not a VTuber. To me, it doesn't matter whether you're streaming with a still picture, or a live 2D, or a 3D model, as long as you are playing a character that is not yourself, and that exists, in theory, in lore, only in the virtual space, and that is a VTuber. My friend, however, argued that to be a VTuber, you had to have a moving avatar. Whether you do that by using live 2D or 3D, it doesn't matter as long as it moves. To which he referred to Kizuna Ai as an example. And I'm not saying he's wrong, but it's just really interesting how the term VTuber could mean so many different things to so many different people. And I'm sure, VTubing means virtual YouTuber, and the phrase was first coined by Kizuna Ai, so many would consider her as the first VTuber. So in that sense, I can see how my friend would consider someone who is much like Kizuna Ai, who is able to move around in the virtual space, and also interact with the audience through that, to be the proper VTuber, rather than someone who is just using a still picture. What's your take on what it takes to be a VTuber? I would really like to know your opinion. You can reply to this in the comment below if you're watching this from YouTube, or if you're listening to this as a podcast, you can message me via Twitter at Suiren_VT, #TheDragonsWhisper. With that, let's take a little bit of a music break. The song I have for you today is called Sunrise in the Meadow. I hope the song will give you a little bit of a relaxing break, whether you're preparing for the day or winding down for the night or anything in between. We'll be back after this. And now let us move on to the next section. Whispers of Wisdom. The wisdom part might be debatable. However, I did ask people to send me their troubles via Marshmallow, and I will try to answer them or try to help them solve their issues on this radio show. And they're all anonymous, so I won't be saying any names. And so, question number 1 is, whenever I do work, I quite quickly lose my focus. Do you have any tips for staying focused? Who here also has that issue? I mean, it's not like I have the attention span of a squirrel, I swear. Ooh, shiny. But no, for me, normally when I try to focus, when I want to focus, I would listen to music sometimes, particularly lo-fi lately. They don't obtrude, and they're very in the background. So having background noise actually helps me focus. It also depends on what I'm doing. If I'm reading, though, having background noise does not help. The other thing I do, though, is that I would take breaks. Very often, I would do some work, and then once I feel my attention span waning, I would go out, get a drink of water, and then come back and do more work. That way, I sort of have something fresh every time. I come back refreshed every time, so I don't lose focus as easily, although that also might interrupt your workflow, so it depends on what you're doing, really. And our next question is, there are situations where I want to support someone when they are venting their issues, but I find it hard to sympathize whenever a name is mentioned due to always thinking there's another side to the story/perspective. This is particularly hard for me when the venting involves hostility to said person. Is there any way I can support them without validating their perspective is correct? I think most of the time when people are venting, they really just want to get whatever it is that's, keeping them angry or making them unhappy just off of their chest. They don't really need someone to give them advice or anything like that. So just being quiet and listening to them without reacting is probably enough most of the time. You don't have to give your own opinions. Once they say their piece, though, they're probably going to be done and don't want to mention it again. Unless, of course, they ask your opinion, and then you're screwed. Next question. I'm thinking about trying out streaming. Is there any issues or difficulties that you had faced when starting out that you wished you had known about ahead of time? Ooh, I can probably make like an hour-long episode about that. However, the first thing is deciding what your streaming platform is. One thing about Twitter I remember when I first started streaming, or in my first stream, is that I forgot to set up the recording function on Twitter, so it didn't keep any VODs. I think I lost my first debut stream because of that, so have that checked when you want to stream on Twitch. The other thing I think, and my chat can probably attest to that, is the fact that I don't stream on a regular basis, nor do I have an actual schedule. That being said, I have started to get back to scheduling and posting my next week's streaming schedule the Sunday before. Also, shameless advertisement plug, follow me on Twitter to know when I stream on Twitch. Ta-da! Anywho, so yeah, give yourself a goal every week. I'm going to stream twice a week on these days and follow through with them. That would definitely help with your content creation for sure. Next question. Ooh, this one's a long one. Personally, I'm a bit conflicted with how I use my time and money. Buying games and stuff is one thing, but donating to streamers and entertainers whenever I want is a bit hard. The conflict I feel is whether I even should donate to them. I understand it's more for the content creation rather than donation itself, but knowing I could spend the money on something else, donate to charities, church, I'm slightly religious, etc., makes it hard for me to do so. Of course, I already spend money on things I like games, plushies, and the likes as well. But I have always used the justification that I shouldn't feel bad spending on myself, and it's a fallacy to say I should spend as much time as possible doing good deeds. It's starting to sound more like an excuse I use to spend for myself, when resources could be put into something more meaningful. While I can use the reasoning to an extent, for something called donations, it's a bit hard for me to meaningfully justify the cost. Ha! So you are conflicted over whether or not to donate to VTubers. Well, my answer is do whatever you like. Honestly, as a VTuber, I never really expect people to donate to me. I mean, it's nice, and also it does help things along. However, I think more than anything, subscriptions are enough if you want to support a VTuber. Of course, if they're in trouble and they tell you so, then you can consider it, and that could be your good deed for the day. But I don't think it's really necessary to donate if you don't feel comfortable doing so. It is called donation for a reason, after all. It's not like you have to pay me for my content. It's if you feel I'm doing well and if you want to support me, then please feel free to give me a tip. Kind of like at a restaurant. Same thing. I mean, after all, VTubing is providing an entertainment service. If you like it, giving a tip, like at a restaurant, is just a way of saying, thank you for your service. We are very happy with your work. Not necessary, but appreciated at the same time. And finally, the last marshmallow, let's see. Why are you such a treasure? Thank you? Should I say anything else? But thank you. The praise is appreciated. Alright, and that's it. This is this week's Whispers of Wisdom. If you have any troubles or things you want to ask, feel free to send it via Marshmallow. I will post the link below, or you can again find the link on my Twitter. After this, we have something super exciting, which is a new radio drama series. I mean, this is the first episode of this radio show, and obviously the drama show that follows it is gonna be new as well, but this is the first episode of the drama series that will be featuring the slice of life comedy of Thomas, a gamer who is isekai'd into the game he has just beat. This is written by the wonderful Pending, whose link is in the description below, along with the awesome VTubers who have agreed to voice the characters. Today's episode is the beginning, the start, the genesis of Thomas and his isekai journey. But before we actually get to the radio drama, we have a very special guest with us tonight. He is the writer and the mastermind behind this radio drama. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, hello. My name is Pending. I'm a VTuber who has written skits on YouTube in the past. That's where I started with VTubing, and I also do streams on Twitch.
And for anyone who doesn't know, his skits on YouTube are awesome. They are funny, hilarious, and sometimes very, very deep and thought-provoking. If anyone has not checked out his channel yet, please do so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can I ask what your inspiration is for this particular story that we're debuting today?
Well, I remember us discussing it, and you suggested a parody of isekais. So, my inspiration for it, I guess, was I guess largely the isekais, which I've seen some of before. So I've seen some of Sword Art Online. I've seen some of Konosuba, which is probably the one that this most closely resembles. Although I haven't seen too much of it, so I don't know to what extent. And yeah, I guess it just kind of follows my general sense of humor, which is mostly a lot of absurdity and silliness, and also just like various scenarios that are kind of common to me, like skipping through cutscenes and stuff. So I wanted to work that in.
Yeah, skipping cutscenes has become a bit of a meme, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you worked it in because it was kind of funny. And
Thank
for
you.
anyone who doesn't know about it yet, you're gonna hear about it in a moment when we.
Oh, are we
play
doing this in the other order? Where? Like...
Yeah, we're doing this in the other order.
Oh, okay. Then that's a minor spoiler.
That's okay. Or we can do it the other way around. That's fine too.
Either way.
All right, thank you for sharing your inspiration. And I know we did talk about this a little bit at the beginning when I asked you if you were interested in writing the story. But was there any particular difficulties when you were trying to write this story?
Not especially. I think when I think probably the biggest difficulty was starting the writing. Like, usually that's where the challenge lies for me, is the first couple sentences, especially for something like this where you don't have to worry about writing a ton of visual description because it's a radio drama, so it has to by necessity lean heavily on the dialogue and maybe some audio sound effects. So once I start writing dialogue, it becomes a lot easier for me because then the characters kind of bounce off each other naturally, and you're just kind of acting out a conversation in your mind, which is a lot of fun to me. So usually the hardest parts of writing, at least for me, are like where to start the situation and where to end it. And I think maybe it took a little bit to kind of figure out how to get started, but once I figured that out, the writing was pretty smooth.
Oh, I see. And did you have like a plan in the beginning of like this character is gonna be like this and that character is gonna be like this? Or were you just gonna, like you start and then this character slowly work themselves out?
A bit of both. For the main character, I had like a general idea of who they'd be beforehand. For the other character that's prominent in this in this episode, she kind of was fleshed out as I wrote, because I didn't have like a strong idea for her at first, and as I wrote more and more of the conversation together, I got a better and better feeling of this is kind of how she would talk. This is kind of the type of person she is.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. And for someone who likes to write stories, and I've seen, some of your skits and then your story writing, and obviously this particular drama, are there a favorite type of story of yours? Like, do you like these particular stories, or what do you look for when you're reading or writing a story?
I really like silly premises in general. Like Futurama or classic Simpsons is probably some of my favorite stuff, and probably has informed my sense of humor more than anything else. Just the ridiculousness of the scenarios, and I guess kind of like Homer Simpson in particular is the kind of character that resonates with me in terms of humor, or at least classic Homer Simpson. I think in an effort to try and continually one-up themselves, eventually the Simpsons had to make Homer more and more and more ridiculous, and at a certain point it crosses the line of believability, where you're like, well, I don't believe that this is a person that can function in reality, so the ridiculous things he says no longer have weight behind them. But old Simpsons, where Homer had like some foundation in reality but was still absurd enough that he could come to like ridiculous conclusions. Like there's one, just to pick one skit at random, where Mr. Burns finds Homer Simpson in like this bunker that Mr. Burns made for himself, and Homer's like thinking to himself, okay, you just have to think of a plausible scenario to get out of this. And he says to Mr. Burns, hello, I'm Mr. Burns. And it makes no sense because he's obviously talking to Mr. Burns, but there's something just very silly and dumb about that I really enjoy.
I see. You mentioned that you like silly stories and Homer Simpson's in particular, and that's a video, like not a video, a TV series. Do you have books that you like that are, that you like to read, or a series that is your favorite?
It's funny because when I was a kid, I would read a lot. As I've gotten older, I don't read nearly as much. I think probably The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy would be amongst my favorite series growing up. I was also a really big fan of the Ender's Game series, in part because I just loved sci-fi so much. Unfortunately, since then... Unfortunately, since then, there's some not great things that have come out about Orson Scott Card that I wasn't aware of at the time. So now it's a little bit more complicated, but removing it from that series of books is really, really good. So yeah, those are examples of those are examples of books that I love.
Okay, cool. So mostly fantasy with a little bit of silliness inserted in between, or not fantasy, but sci-fi.
Yeah, I love sci-fi. Like I didn't bring it up as much in terms of my favorite types of stories, but like I'm a huge fan of Star Trek. I'm a huge fan of Stargate.
I do believe we've had long conversations about Stargate before.
Kind of tying it into the comedy stuff, I've been watching The Orville lately. So there's a lot of there's a lot of different sci-fi shows that I've been really into. Big into also fantasy. Like I've been watching all the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff since that became a thing. So yeah.
What are your future plans in terms of VTubing or in terms of writing or anything like that? Do you have any?
Yeah. So I've been working on a murder mystery plot for a series of pending skits. So I'm a little reluctant to talk too much about it, just because my biggest fear lately is starting something and then not finishing it, so like people don't end up seeing a finished product at the end. But I've been writing what would essentially serve as, I guess I call it a mini series, but I've already written 4 episodes of this, and it's nowhere near the finish. So I guess it's going to be kind of like a season worth of pending skits, assuming that it comes out. And my kind of idea for it is I want to write it all at once. And then they'll like release once every week or something. And I think it'll be kind of fun. It's gonna kind of parody things like Danganronpa. So that kind of murder mystery detective solving thing, only in a much with a much more comedic focus, because it's going
to be more lighthearted.
Yeah, because it focuses on pending and subtitles. So if you're familiar with those characters aren't the most serious. Well, subtitles is, but pending certainly isn't.
That's true. And I do look forward to it. And I totally understand you when you say, I might start something and not complete it, and I don't want to hype people up for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because then I feel bad, because then I feel like, I've created false expectations, and people will take me less seriously in the future when, like, I say, I'm working on this, and then they never see it. But yeah, that's something I'm working on. Something that is it's not as likely to be seen, but I have been kind of working on it on and off for I guess months now, is a visual novel, which in contrast to the other stuff, the visual novel isn't comedic. It's a story about a guy in high school who who discovers a secret about one of his high school students, and that she is actually a robot. And so he would then befriend her and kind of guide her as she's been using school as a way to both learn how to blend in with humanity and kind of find out about herself and find out about morality. And my basic idea for it is I'd want the kind of choices that you have in the visual novel to influence what kind of person she becomes, for better or worse.
And do the readers get to choose that? Or?
Yeah, that's my hope, is that the different choices that you make will she'll basically see and observe what you do, and that'll turn her into a different person by the end of it, depending on the choices you made. That's the hope / ambition of it.
Oh wow, that sounds very interesting and very ambitious.
Thank you. Hope, like I said, it's not anything that I expect to be done with anytime soon, because I've never written a visual novel before. But it's something that I've always had interest in doing, and I figured I might and I had this particular idea for it, so I figured I might as well start writing it and kind of see where it goes from there. So hopefully it'll go well, but it's something that's like not a high priority, so it's something I'll write for a little while and then put away for a long time, then come back to.
Right. Well, if it ever comes out, I would be very interested in playing it. I know you really like visual novels, because your streams, you do invite several VTubers together, and then you'll play through a visual novel. And those are always fun to watch, especially because everybody tries their hardest at voice acting as well.
Yeah, I love voice acting. I'm very much an amateur at it, but I always enjoy the chance to do voice acting, so that's a big part of what I feel makes visual novel streams fun. Another part of it is, depending on what the visual novel is, I like being able to kind of guess at where the story is going. So, like, when I was playing Danganronpa with people on stream, it was fun trying to guess at what direction the mysteries were going to take. For some of them, like, I've been playing Ephemeral on stream recently, which is an Otome game that has some questionable translation and also is kind of just has some unintentionally ridiculous characters, or maybe it was intentionally ridiculous, but so in that case it's more just funny. But it's always, visual novels always are a treat for one reason or another,
right,
on streams.
Yes. And for the last question before we end it for today, do you have anything you want to say to the fans or to the listeners today?
I guess I hope you enjoy the episode if you haven't seen it yet, or if this is happening afterwards, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'm looking forward to writing more of them, and hopefully, you'll like where it's going. And also, I want to say thank you very much to you for letting me be a part of this, and in particular for doing all the editing for it, because I really like editing. I really like writing. I'm not a huge fan of editing, so the opportunity to do something where I get to write the thing, but that I don't have to edit it is perfect.
Well, okay. Well, I have fun editing it. It was interesting. Finding sound effects, on the other hand, was the hardest thing. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I hope everybody sticks around for the radio drama, and give us some thoughts on what you thought about it in the comments below, or send us a tweet at Suiren_VT, or even Pending, what's your Twitter?
I'm gonna guess I'm PendingV.
Okay.
So, pending spelt as you would think, and then just add a V afterwards. Twitter changed my name.
Oh no.
I wrote, when I signed up, I wrote down Vtuber pending, and I just assumed that was the Twitter handle they give me. But I believe they gave me the Twitter handle PendingV for whatever reason. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, if anything, the link will be in the description below, so you guys can check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, without further ado, everyone, please enjoy the radio drama, Thomas Wants a Break. Thomas Wants a Break, Episode 1, Tea Holdy and Bone Milk.
That's amazing, Guardian! No one has ever defeated the Mega Dark Templar Orc Drell before. Your might and skill are truly without equal.
Yay.
Very well, Guardian. I am forced to act.
Skip.
I do not think.
Skip.
For you see, God.
Skip.
What were...
Wow! Who would have thought that Drell was actually... Be careful, Guardian. It looks like this time Drell is playing for keeps.
What? I thought the last fight was the final boss. This story makes no sense.
Well, maybe if you didn't skip all the cutscenes.
Well, maybe if they weren't so long. Seriously? Am I really talking to an in-game character? Actually, how did the character respond to me? Must be some kind of automatic dialogue triggered by me bypassing everything. Yeah. Guess the developer has a sense of humor.
Get ready for my Ultra Mega Turbo Destruct!
Nope.
Wow. You actually did it, Guardian. You saved the world.
Yep, I am pretty awesome.
But of course, even though Drell has been slain, it is only a matter of time until others seeking power are corrupted by it and threaten the fragile balance of Dihaldahine. The world will
An
always need
unskippable
one as
cutscene?
skilled as you, Guardian.
Lame.
Will you pledge now and forever be our savior? Yes or no?
Huh? Is that it? Where's the loot?
To get what you've earned, please click yes now.
Oh, fine. What the? Seriously? Crashing at a time like this? My progress had better gotten saved at least!
What's wrong?
My computer won't turn back on.
It's so dark in here.
It's annoying to game with the lights on. Hang on. I'll go get the switch. Wait. Seraphin?
Yes?
If my computer's dead, How can I hear you?
Turn on the lights.
What the?
Welcome, Guardian, to my realm.
Oh man. I passed out at my desk again.
What? Why would you think that?
Well, for one thing, this looks a lot like the land of T-Holdy.
T. Heldaheim.
Whatever.
Why are you surprised? Did you not just sign the contract?
Contract?
To be our savior now and forever. To protect this world from all who would mean us harm as our one true guardian.
Oh boy.
Actually, Guardian, I am a girl.
What? Listen, I said yes to getting the loot, not to being abducted into T-Handle.
T. Heldaheim?
See? That's the thing. I don't care what your world is called. I play this game for the loot grind, and to make myself feel superior to the 12-year-olds who couldn't steal their parents' credit card to do the gacha rolls.
But you are the first Guardian to ever beat Drill. You are our chosen one as foretold in the Scrolls of Bonamont.
The scrolls of what?
It was explained in one of the many cutscenes you skipped.
Right. Well, do you really think your chosen one would be a guy who didn't even bother to learn about your ancient scrolls of bone milk?
Are you just getting the names wrong on purpose now?
Totally. But you see my point, right?
Well, it is true you are not the paragon of heroism that I thought you'd be.
Exactly!
And I had assumed that the chosen one would have a more hardened physique.
Okay. A little rude, but sure.
Plus, you're not particularly tall. In my world, men are usually taller than women. Is that not how it is on yours?
Now you're just being hurtful.
And I thought the chosen one wouldn't smell so much like... What is that fragrance?
Huh? Oh, spoiled milk. I spilled cereal on my pants a few days ago.
Ugh, then why do you still smell?
I haven't washed my jeans yet. I mean, it's my only pair and I'd have to take my wallets and keys out of them, so... it's just this whole ordeal. I'll do it later. Tomorrow, maybe.
I never thought a hero would be this unhygienic.
Yes! I am super gross! So, can you send me home now?
I'm afraid you don't understand. Despite your limitations, you are nevertheless the chosen one.
I don't care about that! I demand to be sent back!
Of course. I would never dream of holding you here against your will.
Good. I'm glad we've reached an understanding.
To send you back would be akin to resigning this world to ruin. Still, if that's what you wish, I will return you to your world.
Okay.
I know it's a lot to ask, but would you have a moment first for me to take you to the orphanage?
Why?
Well, they've never met a hero before. It would mean a lot to them to see one before, their world ends.
Are you trying to guilt me into staying?
Is it working?
Are they really orphans?
And happy families, too. Young people with their whole lives ahead of them. Old men and women living in peace and harmony. A ton of people who would be supremely pleased if it turned out they didn't have to die.
Fine. I'll be the guardian of Tea Leaf. I just want you to know that I don't like you.
I can live with that.
Can somebody tell me why I'm here? What's going on? I must pretend to be a hero of this world. Seraphine, take me home where I belong, 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 oh, where I belong, where I belong. Don't be afraid, keep fighting. Stop playing with my mind, I just wanna Just take me home, far from the grid, where I belong, where I belong, where I belong, where I belong, whoa, where I belong, where I belong. It's quite amusing to see my abs. Oh, I can't lose control, I must clear up my mind. I need to find a way out of this town. Although I have this power, just need to head out. Can somebody tell me how to leave this virtual soul? I must be dreaming, I'm a hero of this world. Take me home. Take me where I belong. Take me home. Take me where I belong.
Thank you everyone for listening in. I hope to see you all again next week for episode 2. This is The Dragon's Whisper, hosted by Suiren, the Chinese dragon goddess, signing out. Remember to keep hydrated.